Aging is a natural part of life. It's not a weakness. It's not a punchline. And yet, even today, people say things to older adults that range from mildly annoying to deeply disrespectful, sometimes without even realizing the impact. You might think it's just a joke, just a harmless comment, but the truth is, words matter. What you say to someone over 70 can shape how they feel about themselves, how they move through the world, and how they're perceived by others. In this video, we're breaking down 6 things you should never say to someone over 70, even if you're joking, because jokes can carry weight. They can reinforce the stereotypes, and they can quietly chip away at someone's confidence, value, and sense of dignity. Stay with me until the end, because chances are you've heard or even said some of these without thinking, and it's time to stop. Let's start with number 1. You still drive? It might sound like casual curiosity, but it often comes with a tone, surprise, skepticism, or even judgment. This question implies that someone over 70 is probably too slow, too fragile, or too forgetful to be trusted behind the wheel. And that's not just unfair, it's untrue. Many people in their 70s, 80s, and beyond are excellent drivers. Alert, experienced, careful. Often safer than younger drivers who are distracted, rushed, or aggressive. Asking "you still drive" plants doubt. It suggests decline. And even worse, it can make someone feel like their independence is being questioned. Driving isn't just about getting from place to place. For many older adults, it's a symbol of freedom, of autonomy, of being able to handle life without help. When you question that, you're not just talking about a car, you're talking about control. So unless you're genuinely concerned for someone's safety and ready to have that conversation with empathy and respect, skip this question. Because if they are driving, they've likely earned that right over decades of responsible behavior. And if they aren't, trust me, they already feel the loss. Number 2, wow, you're still working? On the surface, it might sound like admiration, but often it carries another message. Like you're surprised they haven't retired, slowed down, or stepped aside for younger generations. But here's what you might not see. For many people over 70, work is purpose. It's identity, it's contribution. Some keep working because they want to, others because they need to. But either way, implying that their continued work is unexpected can feel like a subtle form of exclusion, like the world is trying to move on without them. Take Helen. She's 73. She's worked in the same library for 40 years. She knows every author, every shelf, and every regular patron. Her presence is stability. Her knowledge is unmatched. And yet, when someone asks, "You're still working?" she feels a flicker of doubt. Should she be done? Is she out of place? That question, however innocent, echoes a deeper ageist idea, that productivity has an expiration date. It doesn't. People don't lose value because of age. If anything, they gain depth, wisdom, and perspective. So instead of asking why they are still working, try asking what they love about their work, or better yet, listen to what they have to teach. Number 3, you don't look that old. This one gets tricky because it's often meant as a compliment. But let's unpack what it really says. First, it implies that looking old is bad, that aging is something to hide, deny, or avoid. And second, it ties someone's worth to how well they mask their years. Imagine saying to someone, "You don't look like a mother," or "You don't look smart." It sounds strange, right? Because it reduces a rich identity to a shallow image. Same goes for age. Telling someone they don't look their age might feel like flattery, but for many it lands differently. It says aging is only acceptable if you don't show it, and that message fuels insecurity, pressure, shame, especially for women who are constantly told to fight wrinkles, dye their hair, and defy gravity. But age isn't a problem. It's proof of survival, of stories lived, of battles fought, and yes, of beauty earned. Instead of focusing on how someone looks young, try noticing their energy, their humor, their insight. Compliment who they are, not how well they disguise their years. If you're still watching and this is making you rethink a few things, comment the word "respect" below. That tells me you're still here, still engaged, and committed to speaking with more awareness. Now let's keep going. Number 4. You probably don't remember, but this one might sound harmless, like you're just setting the stage for a story. But what it really does is assume someone's memory is failing. It presumes forgetfulness, and it puts the other person in a defensive position before they even have a chance to speak. It's not just dismissive, it's disrespectful, because memory varies. Yes, some older adults experience decline, but many don't. They're sharp, attentive, better at recalling facts, dates, and conversations than people half their age. Saying you probably don't remember can feel like a small insult, like you're preparing for them to fail, and that assumption, repeated often, can actually undermine confidence. It creates doubt. It plants the idea that they're slipping, even if they're not. Instead, just tell your story. Let them respond. Give them the benefit of the doubt. And if they don't remember, that's okay. We all forget things, but let it be their moment, not your prediction. Number 5, you're too old to do that. Whether it's about travel, dating, dancing, starting a new project, or even joining social media, this phrase is one of the most damaging things you can say to someone over 70. It limits them, it boxes them in, and it often reveals more about your assumptions than their abilities. The truth is, people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s are doing things today that previous generations never dreamed of. Skydiving, running marathons, starting businesses, writing books, falling in love. Age is not a limit unless you decide it is. When you say you're too old to do that, you're telling someone to stop living, to shrink, to stay in their lane. And that's not just wrong, it's cruel. Because what most older adults want isn't pity, it's possibility. They want to be seen as capable, curious, alive. And when you tell them they can't or shouldn't, you're not protecting them. You're diminishing them. Let me tell you about Alonzo. He's 84, took up painting for the first time last year, not because he wanted to become famous, but because he wanted to express something. He now spends 2 hours every morning in his garage, brush in hand, jazz playing in the background. He's never felt more alive. Imagine if someone had told him, "You're too old for that." Imagine what he would have missed. Don't be that voice. Be the one that says, "Why not?" Let's keep going with number 6. At your age, you should be grateful. This one often comes wrapped in a smile, maybe even meant with kindness. But make no mistake, it can land hard. The implication behind it is simple. You've had your time. Be satisfied. Don't ask for more. Don't expect much. Be thankful for what you still have and don't push the envelope. But here's what that message really does. It shrinks a person. It tells someone over 70 that they should stop dreaming, stop growing, stop desiring. It puts a limit on what they're allowed to want. But no age, none, should ever be the expiration date on growth. Gratitude is powerful, but using it to silence someone's ambition, that's not gratitude. That's control. And it's deeply unfair. Imagine someone at 72 wants to start painting, or someone at 78 is thinking of dating again, or someone at 80 decides to start writing a memoir. If your first instinct is to say, "At your age," then you've already misunderstood what life is about. Life doesn't stop at retirement. It doesn't pause when the kids move out. It doesn't end when you get your senior discount card. There's always room for more. More curiosity, more challenge, more connection. Telling someone to just be grateful when they express frustration, desire, or ambition can be incredibly dismissive. They're not being ungrateful, they're being human. Wanting more is not a sign of entitlement, it's a sign of aliveness. And if someone over 70 is still reaching for more, celebrate that. Because what they're doing isn't just rare, it's brave. The world isn't built to encourage it, but they're doing it anyway. Now that we've gone through the 6 things you should never say to someone over 70, even as a joke, let's take a moment to reflect. Maybe you've heard these phrases before. Maybe you've said them. Maybe you didn't mean harm. Maybe you thought you were being funny, helpful, or even supportive. But intention doesn't erase impact. And the impact of words like these is very real. They reinforce harmful stereotypes. They send subtle messages that older people are fragile, out of touch, or past their prime. They suggest that age is something to be embarrassed about, laughed at, or hidden. And that's a message we need to delete from the culture completely. Let's quickly recap. Number 1, you still drive? Sounds innocent, but often loaded with doubt. It questions competence. It can make someone feel like their independence is on trial. Don't assume they're incapable. Ask yourself if you'd say the same thing to someone 10 years younger. If not, don't say it. Number 2, you're still working? As if being over 70 should mean slowing down, sitting still, or stepping aside. But many people over 70 love their work, need their work, or find identity in their work. Don't make them feel like they're overstaying their welcome. Number 3, you don't look that old. Meant as a compliment, but it reinforces the idea that looking old is bad. It rewards people for hiding signs of aging instead of respecting them for living through them. Let's stop using youth as the gold standard. Number 4, you probably don't remember. Another assumption, often false. Not every older adult is forgetful. And even if someone forgets something, it's their moment, not your prediction. Let them speak for themselves. Number 5, you're too old to do that. One of the most limiting phrases in existence, and yet still so common. It tells people to sit down and stay in their lane. But people over 70 are skydiving, dating, starting companies, learning languages, and running marathons. Never assume their chapter's over. They're still writing it. Number 6, at your age, just be grateful. Gratitude is good, but not when it's weaponized to shut people down. Let people want what they want, even at 80, especially at 80. So where do we go from here? What should we say instead? The answer isn't complicated. It's about curiosity, respect, and treating people like full human beings. Ask them about their passions, their goals, their memories, their plans. Ask how they feel about things now, not just how things used to be. Don't assume they're done evolving. Ask what's next. Ask what matters to them. Then listen, really listen. Because here's what most people over 70 want. Not pity, not applause, not fake compliments. They want to be seen, heard, included. They want to be treated like they matter, because they do. They've lived through decades of change. They've navigated loss, love, risk, reinvention. They've raised families, built careers, survived crises. They've adapted again and again, and they're still here, still thinking, still dreaming, still contributing. That deserves our attention. That deserves respect. And if you're someone over 70 watching this, I want you to know something. You don't need to apologize for your age. You don't need to hide it, deny it, or downplay it. You don't need to pretend to be younger, faster, or quieter to make people comfortable. You're not still anything, you simply are. You're valid exactly as you are. Your memories are worth sharing. Your laughter is worth hearing. Your goals are still worth chasing. You have nothing to prove. And if someone tries to shrink you with a joke or a side comment, remember that's their ignorance, not your truth. Now for everyone else, family members, friends, co-workers, neighbors, your words carry power. They can lift or limit, encourage or diminish, inspire or insult. So use them wisely. Speak to the older people in your life the way you hope to be spoken to when it's your turn. Because one day it will be. And here's a simple challenge. The next time you're about to make a joke or comment about someone's age, pause. Ask yourself, would I say this if they were 30? If not, don't say it. Find another way to connect. Humor is great. Connection is great. But not when it comes at someone else's expense. Let's raise the bar. If this video opened your eyes or made you think about things differently, comment the word respect below. Just that. It's a signal that you're here, you're listening, you're choosing better. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on the bell. That way you don't miss any future videos that help shift the way we see aging, life, and each other. Your support helps us keep making content that matters. Thank you for being part of this space, for choosing awareness over assumption, for choosing to speak with intention, not instinct. Let's keep the conversation going, and let's build a world where aging is seen not as decline, but as evolution. See you in the next video. Stay kind, stay curious, and most of all, stay real.